Thank you, Gary Thorne, and welcome to a very cool evening in San Francisco. 53 degrees at game time, and the Padres have just had 3 runners in the top of the first inning and have not scored. They got a single from Kilvio Veras, a bloop hit from Steve Finley. He was caught stealing. Kevin Brown thought he might be taking the mound with a lead, but then Gwynn flied out, Caminiti walked, and Wally Joyner flied out, and that was the top of the first for the San Diego Padres. And Kevin Brown comes in with a record of 1-0. We'll talk more about him in a moment. First of all, the Nextel starting lineup for the Giants. Third in the league behind Colorado and St. Louis, hitting a .296. Darryl Hamilton, a good table setter with Bill Miller, switch hitter. And Barry Bonds has been hot, homering in the last couple of games. He really hits well against San Diego pitching, but he's got his hands full with Mr. Brown tonight. J.T. Snow in the cleanup spot, then Jeff Kent, Brett Maine, who's 8 for 15 on the year, Marvin Bernard, who's been good against Brown in his career, Rich Aurelia, and Danny Darwin, who just struggled with a 24-pitch first inning, but did get a scoreless first. And Joe Morgan, how about Kevin Brown adding that split finger pitch to his repertoire this year, as if he needed another pitch in the opinion of hitters in this league?
Well, basically everything he threw before was hard. He had a hard slider, cut fastball, and a sinker, and a straight fastball. He just wants that splitter to be like a changeup. He tried to throw a changeup a lot last year, and he could not get it done. So he's now throwing a split-fingered fastball, and that's not surprising because Dave Stewart is the pitching coach. Let's take a look at the defense. Up the middle, you have Chris Gomez and Corviro Veras. They are the double play combination for the Padres.
Only one error between those two this year. San Diego, a club that struggled at times with their defense last year. Darryl Hamilton, the leadoff man, an on-base average of .373 to go with a batting average of .280. Kevin Brown's fastball misses away. Brian Gorman is the home plate umpire tonight. 1 ball, 1 strike. Kevin Brown's ERA 2.21. No decisions his last 2 times out. There's that heartbreaking ball. He'll take that slider and cut it inside to left-handed batters. Virtually unbeatable against these Giants, and in this ballpark 2-0. He runs the fastball to the outside corner, and Darryl Hamilton is gone.
That's one of the reasons that he is so tough to handle. He threw a pitch inside for strike 2. Now look at this pinpoint control right on the outside corner, knee high for strike 3. He keeps you honest by coming inside, and then he runs the fastball away. He's just got excellent stuff to work with.
Not to mention control, Joe. That's his 20th strikeout of the year. He's only walked 3 men. First pitch bouncer. Brown's forte is getting the ground ball. He gets the toss from Snow, 2 down.
The only times Brown actually has problems winning ball games is when he is a little erratic with his control. But he seems to be right on track so far this year.
Well, they've been waiting for Barry Bonds' bat to start making some noise around here. It finally has the last couple of days. He homered against Manny Ibar of the Cardinals on Sunday, and then homered last night against Mark Langston. Had not homered up to that point. His batting average creeping up to .267. Look at the heat on that fastball, right about knee high.
Well, he's had problems with Brown throughout his career. He's like 1 for 14, and that 1 base hit came in the playoffs last year. He hit a double. But you see, he's trying to get a pattern with Brown. He says Brown does so many different things to him, he can't seem to get a pattern with him. He doesn't know exactly what Brown wants to do.
And Barry himself seems to be convinced that sometimes Kevin Brown has so much stuff, he doesn't know where his pitches are going. That's got to be confusing for a batter.
Well, I don't think that's exactly true. Kevin knows where they're going. Barry may just be trying to, help himself a little bit psychologically to think that way, but Kevin knows exactly what he's doing out there.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Bases empty, 2 outs. Brown on 1 and 2. Close to the inside corner. Carlos Hernandez trying to frame that one for Brian Gorman. It'll be ball 2. Now against Kevin Brown, Bruce Bochy doesn't think Bonds will pull the ball that much. Tony La Russa played a big shift all weekend against Bonds to pull the ball, which he does to Joyner. Easy play for Wally, and a 1-2-3 first inning for Kevin Brown. The bad news for the Giants, a strikeout and 2 ground balls. Vaughn, Hernandez, and Gomez coming up. Greg Vaughn, a major disappointment for the Padres with the bat last year, but last night he finally had a breakout game, hitting 2 home runs. Batting average up to 275. Danny Darwin's on the mound for the Giants. Sidewinding 42-year-old right-hander against this big right-handed power hitter. Vaughn batted only .216 for San Diego in 120 games last year. Darwin misses low and away with his breaking ball, 2-0. Danny Darwin came over last year, and with the Giants he went 1-3 in 10 ball games. 7 of them starts. Came over from the White Sox in that multiplayer deal late. And he goes 3-0 after struggling through 24 first inning pitches with 2 base hits, a walk. He wiggled out of it with the help of Finley, gunned out stealing by Brent Mayne. This ball well hit to left field. Bonds looks at it, and it's 3 homers in 2 nights for Greg Vaughn. That's his 4th of the year. 1-0 Padres.
Well, that's the second time in this ball game that Bruce Bochy has let his hitters take a hack 3-0. And Greg Vaughn deposits this one into the left field seats. Well, it's a 3-0 fastball. Darwin's trying to throw a strike. He gets it a little bit out over the plate and is tailing back towards Vaughn, and he hits it into the left field seats. You can see Barry Bonds is going right away.
Padres have now homered in 11 straight games, a new team record. Darwin facing Carlos Hernandez, and the breaking ball drops around the knees. This had been the 3rd time the Padres in their history had homered in 10 straight games. In 1970 they hit 15 over those 10 games. In 89 they hit 17. Now they have 19 in 11 games, and Hernandez is gone for the first out. Chris Gomez next, then the pitcher Kevin Brown. Danny Darwin's given up his 3rd home run of the year. Normally when Danny gets himself in trouble, it's when that breaking ball's a little bit flat, but as Joe mentioned, a 3-0 fastball, and Vaughn turned it right around.
And they decided that from the beginning of the ball game they were going to hack 2-0 and 3-0, and they've done that.
Chris Gomez settling in at shortstop now for the Padres. Hit .253 last year. Guy batting number 8 who struck out 114 times last year. He makes contact, and Bill Miller throws him out. That's the 2nd out. And Kevin Brown upcoming. The Nextel starting lineup for the Padres will update you on what they've done already. Veras a hit, Finley a hit, Caminiti a walk in the first inning. They stranded 2 with Finley caught stealing. And then Greg Vaughn's leadoff homer in this inning. Kevin Brown steps in. He's 1 for 8. But he has 3 RBIs on the year already. Brown, a 122 career batter with 10 career runs batted in. He hits it well. 2 for 9 now. Kevin Brown hitting the ball solidly. And that is 4 hits already for the Padres, who came in hitting .269. Danny Darwin now back to the top of the order for Kilvio Veras.
I heard an interesting question the other day. They said, you know, we talk about crafty left-handers. Can you be a crafty right-hander? Well, if there is such a thing, that's Danny Darwin. He will put a little on, take a little off, sink a few. He used to be basically hard stuff. Good fastball that he ran away from the left-handed hitter, and a hard slider, but now he mixes his pitches a little bit better, and he takes a little off, he'll sink some, he does a lot of little things. He's a crafty right-hander now.
At the age of 42, Danny Darwin's 19th major league season. He's ahead of Kilvio Veras, Speedy leadoff man, second baseman up the middle with Chris Gomez. Danny told me before the game he's still hurting a little bit, Joe. He really got hammered in his first start April 4th at Arizona. Devon White hit a one-hopper into his stomach. And then in his first at bat, Joel Adamson hit him in the left knee with a pitch. And he's just now starting to feel good about the knee to land on that thing. He had to miss a start, not to mention the innings he missed that night by not being able to pitch very long. So this is really only about the first week of the season, maybe midway through the first week for Danny Darwin, physically.
Well, he's a tough Texan. Danny and I were born in the same hometown, Bonham, Texas, near Dallas, for those of you who are not familiar with that part of Texas.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Fastball tails to the corner. Veras caught looking. And Danny Darwin, who struck out 7 St. Louis hitters in his last outing, has 2 in this inning. J.T. Snow, then Jeff Kent, and Brent Mayne coming up for the Giants. Middle of the Giants lineup in the bottom of the second inning. Barry Bonds made the last out last inning, but Joe had a chance to hang out with Barry. One of the subjects of their conversation, Kevin Brown.
Somebody, why so much trouble with Kevin Brown?
Well, because Kevin doesn't have like that average normal sinker ball pitcher. He's not that just sinker ball. And Kevin throws 92, 93 miles an hour. Sometimes that sinker stays up and you're anticipating it to go down. And when someone is throwing 92, 93 miles an hour, you got to make a quicker decision and figure out what you're going to do. And sometimes if you move up, he throws that little cut slider in, and sometimes you stay back. That sinker ball hits the outside corner. And you know, I don't think Kevin knows where it's going half the time, but he's so effective because he's not the average sinker ball pitcher.
There have been batters who have crept up in the batter's box, way up around the front of home plate, trying to hit Kevin Brown's sinker before it sinks. We'll see one of those guys a little later in Marvin Bernard.
Well, I think Barry gave you the problems you have when you move up, though. He'll throw the straight fastball, and he throws 90-plus miles an hour. And you move up, that makes that 90-plus into a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. So, like Barry said, he's not a normal sinker ball pitcher. A normal sinker ball pitcher throw anywhere from 85 to 88, and the ball sinks at the same spot all the time, and you can move towards the pitcher and catch it before it sinks.
Well hit to the gap in left center. It's tailing back, and Greg Vaughn gets over to cover it. Well hit by J.T. Snow, who's hitting 300 from the left side this year. But the action of that ball off the bat of the left-hander gave Vaughn a chance to track it down.
Well, here's that straight fastball. That one doesn't sink as much as the one where he gets it away from, and that's why he was able to hit it in the air. But the ball was tailing back towards left center field, and Vaughn was able to get over and make the catch.
4 straight for Kevin Brown. Vaughn, Finley, and Gwynn in the San Diego outfield. Padres have made only 7 errors in their first 14 games. Giants have made just 6. And Jeff Kent hasn't really found his home run stroke yet, but his RBI total is okay at 13.
Well, if you hit behind Barry Bonds, you're always going to have a lot of opportunities to drive in runs because he walks a lot, he gets on base, and the opposition pitches around him a lot. So last year, Jeff Kent was the right man at the right time, you know, to hit behind Barry Bonds, and he picked up the RBIs, there you see 121. And so he did a great job of picking up the ones that Barry was leaving.
29 homers in that season, Joe. He hit 250. Some in the Giants camp would like to see him hit for a little higher average. But if I've got a guy hitting nearly 30 homers and driving in 121, I'm not going to try to change him at all.
You can't have everything.
Yeah.
As Tony Gwynn and I discussed earlier today, you can't have everything. If you're going to hit 350, it's hard for you to hit 40 home runs. You hit 40 home runs, it's hard for you to hit 350. You have to give up something to get something. And if you wanted Jeff Kent just slapping the ball around, hitting 300 and driving in 60 runs, you probably can have that.
Yeah.
But that's not what Jeff wants to do, and I think he helps the Giants more by the way that he drives in runs.
And I think in this lineup, that's what they need. This is not a power-laden lineup. The Giants, as mentioned, came in hitting 296, but only 8 home runs coming into this game. They are a solid team that moves the ball around and puts it in play, but they don't hit it out of the park that much.
Ooh.
Brown with a fastball to strike out Kent, and that'll be Kevin's second. And both of them looking.
This pitch here is the one that's really nasty if you're facing Kevin Brown. You watch it, even handcuffs the catcher a little bit. This ball just dives. And watch the catcher. See how he has to move his glove. He sets up the target where he thought it was going to be, and that ball just dropped back toward the inner half of the plate. And that's the tough Jeff. As you see Jeff Kent, he says, well, there wasn't much I could do with that. And that's exactly right. Perfect pitch.
5 straight for Brown. He faces Brent Maine.
Anytime you see the catcher start to reach for the ball and then have to move quickly, that tells you there's a lot of movement on the pitch because it didn't stay on the same plane of which he thought it would be when the pitcher released it.
Maine had a hot weekend here as the Giants commenced this homestand. You saw the 8 for 15. He's hit safely in every game he has started. He's been in 5. 4 of those have been starts before tonight. And there's Brown with that high riding fastball, 2-1. Brent Maine more the offensive threat in Dusty Baker's catcher platoon, whereas Brian Johnson, the ex-Padre, is a whiz behind the plate defensively. So Maine turns around, throws a runner out tonight. You got Finley trying to steal. Now the count back even, 2-2.
When Barry was talking about Kevin Brown's not your normal sinker ball pitcher, a lot of left-handed hitters will stand there with a sinker ball pitcher that sinks the ball away from him and slap the ball to left field. With Kevin Brown, you can't do that because he throws so hard and he keeps you honest inside. He keeps you from just reaching out, slapping the ball. So you have to swing at that.
Swinging, strike 3. Brown strikes out 2 in a row. He's retired 6 straight. He is something here. Finley, Gwynn, and Caminiti, their best hitters coming up. Top of the 3rd at 3Com Park in San Francisco. Giants got the first matchup between these two NL West powers last night as they scored a lot late and beat San Diego 13-7. This is a short little 2-game series. But both of these clubs have played a bunch of games in their division already. Padres are 4-1. Their 4 wins against Arizona. And the Giants are 3-1. They took 2 of 3 from the Diamondbacks before beating the Padres here last night. Breaking ball was hanging a little bit inside to Finley, who hit it foul. Top of the 3rd underway. Finley blooped a base hit to left center first time up. Padres had a potential big inning coming up, Joe. They had 2 on, nobody out. Gwynn, Caminiti, and Joyner coming up. Danny Darwin wiggled out of that one. Well hit, right field corner. Over is Bernard. He gets there with the backhand catch. Tony Gwynn flew out to Bernard his first time up. I enjoy hearing Joe Morgan and Tony Gwynn talking hitting the baseball.
Middle end for me is the pitch they try to get me out of. And so I see a lot of stuff out there, and right now I'm just kind of flicking at it, pecking at it, and then they come middle in and I roll over, hit my ground ball, or I hit a ball hard and get a base hit. But for me, everything is based on the outside ball, because I feel like the majority of balls I see are going to be out there, and if I handle those, then I can pick my spots to look for that ball inside.
And it was interesting, the first time up they got him out on a ball inside. It was a little off-speed breaking ball, and he pulled the ball to right field. And in talking to him before the game, he said he needs to hit the ball to left field more often. And you see he made a big effort to go that way on that pitch, and he got tied up inside, but he was trying to inside out that pitch to left field. And we can get another look at it, you'll see that he made a real conscious effort to go the other way on that pitch. And watch his body. See his shoulders? He kept everything in trying to push that ball to left field. There's nothing Tony Gwynn hates more than hitting a little fly ball to right field as he did in the first inning. So he tried to go the other way, and he wasn't successful.
Bases empty, 2 outs. Danny Darwin with a chance here for his easiest inning by far. At least 2 base runners in each of the first 2. Caminiti, he walked him. And I think about a third of his 24 pitches in the first inning came with this guy at the plate. Ken fouled off about a half dozen before taking the 2-out walk, but then Wally Joyner flied out, and Darwin was out of that inning with no scoring. 1 ball, 1 strike. Danny working quickly. He had men on base in the first inning. He was taking about a half minute or more between pitches. You get Danny Darwin, bases empty, 2 outs. He's ready to bring it right back home every time he gets it back from Brent Maine. Here's the 2-1.
know, it's funny when I talk to Tony Gwynn, he's talking about he's in a slump, he's not hitting the ball well, and he's hitting 333. And he says, I know I'm not going to get any sympathy. I said, no, not from me. But, I mean, he's hitting 333, and he says his mechanics are off. So that tells you how much of a perfectionist he is and how great a hitter he is.
Well, even approaching the month of September last year, Joe, there were those who thought he could still hit 400, but he went into his version of a slump, which was 6 for 28 early in the month. A lot of guys would love to struggle like that.
Well, I believe a young Tony Gwynn, with the pitching being what it is now and the expansion, would have had a better shot.
Yeah.
I don't think he can hit 400 at this stage of his career, but he's hit over 350 for 5 years in a row. I mean, like I said, he's a special player. But 400 is a real special number.
372 last year. You saw the graphic chronicling his 8th batting title, tying him with Hannes Wagner. I don't know if he'll grab the 12 that Ty Cobb did, which is the major league record. Obviously, Danny Darwin was not about to give in to Caminiti on a 3-2 pitch. Threw him a breaking ball and walked him. He'll take his chances against Wally Joyner, who came into this game hitting 400. Every year the Padres were rumored to be about to replace him with Derek Lee, their hot prospect at first base, but Derek Lee's in Florida now, having been sent there in the Kevin Brown deal. And Wally Joyner, coming off a career high 327 a year ago with 83 RBIs. That was his 12th full season. And Wally Joyner, at the age of almost 36, Bruce Bochy feels, still has a lot of good baseball left in him. 0-2. Danny Darwin, 164 wins, 172 losses lifetime. One 1-0 with an ERA of 3.75 this year coming in. 1-2 pitch. Challenge him with a fastball. And this one will come twisting back, but get out of play. Some of these Giants batters, Joe, will be happy to move down to Pacific Bell Park 2 years from now and say goodbye to this big foul territory finally.
Well, it's very difficult to hit for a real high average when you have all this foul territory in which they can retire you. Well, most of the ballparks, you hit a foul ball that's 15 feet to the left of either line, and it's back into the seat. But in all, it's really interesting because all the ballparks in California have a lot of foul territory, and real estate's expensive out here.
Especially Oakland. Well hit left field. Bonds drifting back to the track, and Wally Joyner flies out that way both times. Padres have stranded 4. Vaughn's homer has them on top.
These lights.
And here we've got the Padres on top 1-0 on the Greg Vaughn home run. Marvin Bernard 4 for 12 lifetime against Kevin Brown. Tries the bunt. Brown, a good athlete, pounces and throws him out. Kevin Brown, a baseball, football, tennis player coming out of high school. He can bounce off that mound pretty well. Sunday night baseball game of the week on ESPN will be the Florida Marlins. Gary Sheffield and company out in Arizona to take on the Diamondbacks and former Giant Matt Williams. Brian Meadows and Jeff Suppan looks like the pitching matchup right now for Sunday night. Joe Morgan, John Miller will be at the Bank One ballpark Sunday night.
And that is a beautiful ballpark. And talking to some of the players from the Giants, they really enjoyed playing there.
Some of those hot summer nights. It'll be interesting to see how the ball plays there, how it flies, and I mean hot and dry. The retractable roof will come into play in terms of the conditions. Rich Aurilia riding a 7-game hitting streak. Pretty good hitter to have down in your number 8 hole. He's 13 for 26 over those 7 ball games. Two balls and a strike. Mentioned what a good athlete Kevin Brown was. He came out of Wilkinson County High School in Irwinton, Georgia. Nobody recruited him. Nobody knew about him. He said his town was so small, college recruiters didn't know it, pro scouts didn't know about it. He was a walk-on at Georgia Tech. And pretty soon he was pitching 3 seasons, was an All-American. And he left there with a school record 28 wins and 249 strikeouts. Came up with Texas for 1 game in '86. Pretty soon he was the Rangers ace. A rare walk from Kevin Brown. That's the first Giant to make it aboard.
Every once in a while, Kevin Brown, I saw him pitch a lot last year and in the World Series. Every once in a while, he will overthrow the straight fastball. That's the one he's trying to throw 3-1, 2-0. And he overthrows that one a little bit, gets it up in the zone a little bit. And that's the only time you really have a chance at hurting him. Because otherwise, when he turns the ball over, he's going to keep the ball in the ballpark.
Danny Darwin looking for contact here. Can he do it with the bunt? Strike 1.
And you can definitely see the movement on that pitch there. It's not only tough to hit, it's tough to bunt.
Well, I was going to say, Joe, most sinker ball pitchers who don't throw nearly this hard, relatively easy guys to bunt one down, but not this guy. Caminiti at least 20 feet in from the third base bag, creeps in some more. Danny Darwin takes one just off the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike. Joyner charging from first. They can charge so aggressively, it's not out of the question for Danny Darwin to bunt into a double play here, even if he gets one down. Bunted down, then it hit his foot. Strike 2. Kevin Brown, 3 strikeouts, 1 walk tonight. Pretty stingy to go with the great stuff. One ball, 2 strikes. Darwin pulled the bat back and was ready to swing away, and that was a breaking ball outside. 2-2.
Interesting situation here. In that with 2 strikes, he was not going to bunt, but you might put it back on. You have a chance. You can hit and run. There are a lot of things you can do. With him squaring around as early as he is, he may turn around and try to, take a swing at it.
Two pitch, and he bunts right through it for the strikeout. Kevin Brown's 4th K of this game. Danny Darwin 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts on the year, and Darrell Hamilton back at the top of the order will try to extend this 3rd inning.
A lot of times when you have a pitcher that is very tough to bunt against, you might try a bunt and run. That way all the guy has to do is try to put the ball in play. Whereas a lot of times you have to try to bunt to the first baseman. With third baseman charging, it's tough.
Now the runner going, throw high, and still getting it down was Chris Gomez. Sort of seemed like a really hit the dirt and kind of came to a stop. He was very slow into the bag, it appeared, on a high throw from Carlos Hernandez, but Gomez, a good athletic play to bring the ball down. Giants are gone, 1-0 San Diego. This season, slow at the bat. He was 1 for his first 13, but then he heated things up. 8 of his next 14. Had a couple of hamstring pulls in spring training that hampered him. And he hits a high fly ball right center. Marvin Bernard for the first out. Danny Darwin now retiring 5 of the last 6 Padre batters. Wind blowing from the left field corner over toward the right side. On a cool evening down on Candlestick Point. Carlos Hernandez struck out swinging first time. This guy, after 12 years in the Dodger organization, made a big splash in one of his very first games for this club this year. April 7th, home opener. They were down by 2 in the ninth. He homered against Jeff Shaw. They won it in extra innings over Cincinnati. Pretty good play there by Rich Aurelia deep in the hole to throw him out.
The Giants have a platoon so far with Rich Aurelia and Ray Sanchez, both pretty good glove men. See, Aurelia kind of slips on the outfield grass, but he still gets enough on it. And there you see JT, Gold Glove winner in both legs at first base, picking that ball out of the dirt. I was asked today about whether I'd ever seen anyone as good as JT Snow at first base, and I really have not seen him as much as the sports writer that was asking me the question. And I explained to him that I always felt that Keith Hernandez was the best first baseman I ever saw as far as defensively, and I saw him a lot, but I have not seen that much as JT, except, you know, he obviously, you win Gold Gloves, you're a pretty good first baseman.
And he's won 3 straight. One ball, 1 strike. And Darwin keeping that ball down and away from Gomez, trying to get the number 8 man so he can face the pitcher leading off next inning. Danny Darwin looking for his first 1-2-3 of the night. Throws that sinking fastball off that sidearm motion, and that's his 3rd strikeout. He gets the 1-2-3. Top of the order, Barry Bonds 3rd in the 4th. Of the 4th inning, San Francisco Giants with Darrell Hamilton, Bill Miller, and Barry Bonds against Kevin Brown. You never know how many times you're going to get up there on a night like this. Cool evening. Brown popping that hard sinker all over the place.
And cold nights are the toughest times to have to handle a sinker ball pitcher, especially one that throws as hard as Brown does.
Now, that wouldn't have anything to do with his success here, would it?
Well, I'm sure it contributes to it, along with having great stuff. You mentioned he pitched a no-hitter against the Giants here last year.
Struck out Darrell Hamilton looking first time up. Hamilton trying to bunt for a hit. Kevin has faced the minimum 9 so far. 4 strikeouts, the walk to Aurelia, but he was wiped out trying to steal. Pretty economical pitch total through 3, just over a dozen per. It's one of the great things about Kevin Brown. He can get strikeouts, but he gets ground balls too, and sometimes he'll get guys on 1 or 2 pitches. Better than 3 ground balls to every fly out. There's a chopper to the right side. Kilvio Veras. Ball was hit rather sharply. Next up, Bill Miller, the 3rd baseman. Good-looking young player now in his 2nd full year. He led the Giants regulars with a .292 batting average last year. Switch hitter with a little bit of pop. I was talking about this lineup before the game tonight with Bill. He says it's really nice that people don't get all over me for being a 3rd baseman with not that much power. Because on this club, we've got a 2nd baseman with power, and that's not always the case. As long as you have a couple of guys on the infield who can hit the long ball. Little flare, looked like Vaughn was fighting the lights. And Greg down to his knees for the 2nd out. Barry Bonds coming up, Joe.
Well, he got behind 0-2 with 2 fastballs away. Now watch, he gets him out with a fastball in off the inside corner. But you can't take that pitch because you're not sure if it's going to tail back enough to get the inside corner. So that's kind of a perfect 2-strike pitch to Barry Bonds if you're Kevin Brown.
Barry Bonds has gone over 1,200 RBIs in the last couple of nights. 376 home runs. And up the middle it goes. Giants have their first base hit.
It's interesting, when I was talking to Barry before the game, he said he was going to try to go to left field maybe. This pitch is tailing away, and he actually goes right back through the middle with it. Good hitting there. Pitch was tailing toward the outside corner and down, and Barry just ripped it back through the middle for a base hit.
Well, looked like Brown might get into the 5th inning or so without giving up a hit. Now he faces J.T. Snow, who flied out to left first time up. One of JT's problems the last couple of years has been hitting from the right side of the plate. Hit only 188 from that side last year, 199 the year before that. I guess he could be excused for last year after Randy Johnson drilled him in spring training, which was a scary moment. Fractured that orbit of his eye. But then he came back strong, and JT hit 281 last year with 28 homers and 104 batted in.
His recovery last year reminded me a lot of Ron Say when Goose Gossage hit him in the head in the World Series, and then 2 days later he says, I'm ready to play. Everyone thought J.T. Snow was going to be out for a long time, and he was able to, get ready for the opening day.
No balls, 2 strikes. Brown stepping off, Bonds inching back to the bag. Now he increases his lead again. He's got that front foot well out beyond the cut of the grass. Early break. What a jump. Don't even bother to throw it, Carlos.
Well, you will never see a better jump than that, because he was running before the pitcher actually threw the ball. And I thought Kevin saw him, because watch, you'll see him move. See right there, he's moving, and Kevin is still holding the ball, but I guess he didn't see him. And wisely, Berry did not try to get back to first base or stop. He just kept going.
You know you got a great jump with Joe when nobody bothers to cover second.
Yeah.
Runner in scoring position, 2 outs, 1-2 pitch. Snow levels off and fouls it away.
Barry Bonds is the only member of the 40-40 club in the National League. Jose Canseco hit 40 home runs and stole over 40 bases.
Well, I mentioned his home run total, Joe. He'll soon be a member of the 400 club. He's already there in steals.
Yeah, no one else in the history of the game has ever accomplished that. So that would be quite a feat.
That was Barry's 4th steal of the year.
He had 40 home runs last year and 37 stolen bases. And a lot of people said he had an off year. That's kind of interesting for a guy to for everyone's expectations to be that high for someone like Barry Bonds.
J.T. Snow hanging tough. Barry Bonds 421 stolen bases now with the one he swipes tonight. Giants need a base hit to tie this game here in the bottom of the 4th. J.T. Snow 9 RBIs on the year. Runner looking in from second, so Brown first signaled Hernandez to restart the sequence of signs. Now they'll talk it over.
Well, you go over each hitter, before the ball game and exactly how you want to pitch them. But sometimes during the ball game, you may see something that they're doing differently than you thought they would be, and you might want to change your pattern. I'm sure they're trying to get on the same wavelength. Sure, Kevin saw something that maybe Hernandez did not see.
2-2 pitch. Breaking ball locked him up and struck him out. Kevin Brown with his 5th strikeout of the night, at least 1 in each inning. And the Giants get 1 hit and strand their first runner. Still 1-0 Padres.
He was looking for the sinker down, and when he releases it up, it's just too difficult to make that type of adjustment.
Brown hitting the ball hard through the hole first time up. This one hits the very end of the bat and just goes foul.
Let me put that in perspective a little better. If you're facing someone like Nolan Ryan, who throws the riding fastball, you're looking for the ball up. You're looking for him to release it and for the ball to stay up on a certain plane. When you're looking at a sinker ball pitcher, you're looking for the ball to be sinking from the middle of your belt down. You're not looking for him to throw the straight fastball up in the strike zone as he did there. So that's another reason that Kevin Brown is just so difficult to hit, and that's why Barry Bonds says you can't get a pattern with him. As soon as you think he's going to throw you a sinker, he throws you a straight one. You think he's going to throw you a straight one, he sinks it. So he has a lot of weapons to work with.
Yeah, and we haven't even seen the splitter yet.
I don't think you're going to see the splitter as much as people, publicize it. I think that's one of those pitches, be a mystery pitch. He just wants you to know that he has it, and keep it in the back of your mind. But he's going to come after you with the good hard fastball and the sinker. He doesn't even seem to be cutting the fastball nearly as much as he did before.
Davey Lopes picks it up. 2 balls, 2 strikes on the foul ball. It's a night to bundle things up here in San Francisco. Wind blowing briskly. Low 50s at game time. Giants on the year 5-3 at home. They've won their last 3 ball games and 4 of their last 5. Brown strikes out as Danny Darwin throws him a hook. Strikeout number 4 for the Giants right-hander. Well, the Devils and the Blackhawks. Devils have clinched the Eastern Conference behind the goaltending of Martin Brodeur and the offensive spark of Bobby Holy. Blackhawks are battling for a playoff spot in the Western Conference, led by the trio of Amante, Chelios, and Daze. Tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern, ESPN's National Hockey Night, New Jersey and Chicago. Getting down to crunch time in the NHL. Top of the order, Kilvio Veras, and he takes one just off the plate inside.
Well, I'm a Devils fan myself.
Now, I would have thought maybe Dallas Stars, being a Texas guy.
No, but John McMullen owned the Astros when I played there. He owns the New Jersey Devils, and I've been to quite a few hockey games there.
Ball hits off the plate and goes foul. 1-2.
In fact, I'm going for the start of the playoffs this year.
Well, you're a busy man. Town hall meeting with the president last night. Baseball tonight, and then NHL playoffs, Jim.
Yeah, I got quite a few autographs last night, hanging out with those stars.
And you were impressed with our chief executive last night and his interest in some of the racial situations and some of the policies that you all talked about last night.
Yes, I was impressed.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And you're not a man easily impressed.
Well, not normally. Especially by politicians.
Danny Darwin, the ageless right-hander, charging hard. Miller, good play, but not in time. With Veras batting from the left side. No way you're going to throw him out there. 1-on-1 out. Let's check in with Gary Miller.
Bob, taking to Turner Field. Greg Maddux, hard luck loser twice to Curt Schilling in his last 2 outings. Left nothing to chance tonight. He struck out 5 as usual, didn't walk a single batter. 6-hit shutout of the Pirates, the 24th shutout of his career. Chipper Jones homered for the 7th time this year. He's got 18 RBIs.
See, I kind of figured Maddux was conning everybody when he said he was going to be walking more guys this year. Evidently, he was setting us all up, huh?
Yeah, but Maddux had the unfortunate duty of facing Curt Schilling 2 times in a row.
Yeah, there's nobody in this league pitching any better than Curt Schilling right now.
Well, he lost the first time, and he was fortunate enough to get a no decision in the second one because Schilling didn't give up any runs in the second ball game. I mean, I watched actually both of those games, and he was fantastic, especially the first time in Atlanta when he beat the Braves 2-1.
Schilling leading the league in ERA. Well, of guys that have numbers, 0.35. How about Yoshi of the Mets? He has no ERA at all. It's just all zeros. Then Maddux, then Glavine. Schilling up there in innings pitched and strikeouts and opponents' batting average. And the Phillies haven't been that bad so far. They lost 3-2 tonight, but they're 7-5. Respectable start.
Well, Schilling is the Steve Carlton of his era. Steve Carlton, when he pitched for the Phillies, he won the Cy Young Award on a losing team, losing ball club.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen very often.
1 ball, 1 strike to Finley. They'll have to hurry to get to the pivot by Aurelia, and Finley running well from the left side, able to beat it out. That'll keep the inning alive for Tony Gwynn.
Well, this ball is not hit real sharply, and Finley runs well. You see how deep Kent is when he turns to throw the ball to second base. And with a guy like Finley, you're not going to double him up if you're playing that deep unless he hits a 1-hopper to you.
Tony Gwynn steps in, 3 hits away from 2,800. Came into the season needing 220 to reach 3,000, and that's exactly the number he had last year, a career high 220 hits. He really hits it hard to right field, but right there is Bernard. Tony Gwynn hitting the ball in the air 3 times. That was a rocket, and the Padres strand a runner. Jeff Kent with power leads off for the Giants in a 1-0 game. Next struck out swinging. Marvin Bernard tried to bunt and was thrown out by the pitcher, so he's personally taken care of the 3 guys scheduled to bat in this inning. He sinks that one down low, 3-0. Kevin Brown, already a dominating presence on the San Diego ball club. It reminds you of some other clubs when they bring an ace aboard and it bumps some of the other guys down. Joey Hamilton, Andy Ashby, now number 2 and 3 starters. Ashby with a beauty of a ball game the other night. Dave Stewart, the man who threw a pretty nasty splitter over the American League, the man helping Kevin Brown with that new pitch, although he hasn't needed it yet. 3-1, that catches the corner. But Joe, I was talking to some of the Padre guys before the game down the clubhouse, and they were saying things like, it's fun to wake up and get out of bed on a day you know Kevin Brown's pitching, because we feel like we have almost an insurmountable chance to win the ball game. That's got to really run deep through a ball club. Well, and on top of that, it helps you defensively. All the defensive players like to play behind him because he works quickly, and you get a lot of action, and he makes things happen. Fastball running inside. Count stays at 3-2. Our Giants in-game box, and there's Kent down in the number 5 hole with JT Snow 0 for 2. Barry Bonds has the only base hit, a 2-out single, followed by a steal last inning. Kevin Brown has faced only 1 over the minimum through 4 innings of work. The other man to reach, Aurelia with a walk in the 3rd, was caught stealing. 3-2 pitch. Through a strike. Over it goes to Caminiti. Himself a Gold Glover. Low throw. Nice pick by Wally Joyner. I don't think I've ever seen Caminiti roll a ball to first base. He's got one of the greatest arms in baseball, and he probably could not get this grip on the ball. Let's see. He'll catch it, and then let's see if he fumbles with it. Yeah, right there. You see him trying to get his grip. He grabs it in the palm of his hand, and he gets rid of it. I mean, he's got one of the strongest arms in all of baseball. Wally Joyner's still picking it pretty well over there. He's always been a very smooth fielding first baseman, and Caminiti, a guy, he'll just battle you for 9 innings. Well hit from Brent Maine. Backing up Finley. Not quite to the track. 2 down, bases empty, bottom of the 5th. Here's Gary Miller with another update.
Bob, sticking with a pitching theme, we showed you Maddox, who had been the victim of Curt Schilling. Now it's Schilling with one of his former teammates, Jim Eisenreich, pinch hit 2-run homer the other way. He also gave up a solo homer to Derek Lee. Lee's got 6 hits this year, 5 of them are homers. 3-2 Marlins.
Well, the Marlins, only their 3rd win of the year against 11 losses. We'll see them Sunday night at Bank One Ballpark against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Big question, I guess, in that NL East, will anybody other than the Mets even give Atlanta a run? Phillies off to a good start, as we mentioned, but Montreal and Florida well down. Expos did get a win today, 4-3 over Milwaukee. Little chopper. Well, what a jam job that was. Kevin Brown retires Marvin Bernard, and through 5, he's faced only 16 men. Big hitters coming up for San Diego. Caminiti, Joyner, and the home run man, Vaughn. When you're pitching against Kevin Brown, you know you've got to keep it close. With that in mind, this 6th inning could be very important for Danny Darwin, considering the hitters coming up, Caminiti, Joyner, and Vaughn. Greg Vaughn has the homer. That was leading off the 2nd. Game's only run. Caminiti has been walked twice. Looks at a fastball in there. In many ways, this guy, the heart and soul of this ball club. He plays hurt. He'll get out there every day for you. Over toward the barrier. Miller reaching. Couldn't quite get there. Had to deal with the tarp. And good job by Tom Hallion. He got over there to make sure that there wouldn't be fan interference.
And you saw the umpire give the signal that the ball was in the stands. Now watch the umpire, watch his signal. That will tell you, even if someone catches it, that it's not, that means the ball was in the stands. Fans cannot reach on the playing field and keep you from catching the ball, but if the ball is in the stands, they can try to get a souvenir and not be called for any kind of interference.
This one over the same spot. Might be playable, reaches again, and he might have overreached it. That ball came twisting back in on Miller, but again, now he's dealing with the end of the tarp and then the barrier. And Joe, these seats haven't always been there. This wall used to be back even farther than it is now.
Oh, let's see if he's, well, he did. It looked like he hit off the heel of his glove. Let's take a look here. You see some other kids trying to catch it. The fans think that kid interfered with him, but the ball hit off the back of his glove, not the kid's glove.
0-2 again. That'll take care of Caminiti, caught looking. Danny Darwin with strikeout number 5. Danny Darwin was pretty good in his last outing. 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. Gave up only a couple of runs on 6 hits to St. Louis in a game the Giants eventually won. He did not figure in that decision. In his 6th inning of work right now, throwing pretty well. Wally Joyner, little 3-hopper out to Jeff Kent, 2 down. Both walks to Caminiti. Pitch count just over 80 through 5 2/3. He'll face a man who's homered now 4 times against him in their respective careers. They know each other from the American League. Greg Vaughn, 8 of 31 now against Darwin, with 4 home runs, including tonight's. That time he keeps that sinking fastball down. And Greg Vaughn starting to heat things up a little bit. Padres hope they start getting a big return on that 3-year, $15 million contract signed prior to last season. His numbers 2 years ago were awesome when he came over from Milwaukee, and his numbers combined with San Diego, but last year just not a good one for Greg. Home run total down to 18. Padres want those Milwaukee numbers. If they get anywhere near those numbers, Joe Morgan, this is a heck of a lineup with the guys he has in front of him. You have a guy like this batting 6th. That's a power-laden bunch in there. Finley's home run totals up in recent years. That goes foul. Ball is fair. And Darwin takes care of 3 pretty good hitters very quickly in the 6th inning. It's still a 1-0 ball game. Championship ball clubs built on good pitching. Kevin Brown coming over to San Diego sort of reminds us a little bit, Joe, of earlier in this decade when the Twins picked up Jack Morris and the effect that had on some of their younger pitchers who soon became star pitchers over in that league.
Well, if you're a Kevin Brown, you're a dominating pitcher as he is. The other pitchers will have a chance to learn a lot about pitching. Like, he works very quickly. He challenges hitters. A lot of times young pitchers are trying to be too careful. And when you get a guy like Kevin Brown that comes right after the hitters, sometimes that can work in your favor, and it will help you with some of your young players.
Young guys like Erickson, Kevin Tapani on that Minnesota staff at that time, and of course Joey Hamilton, Andy Ashby, the slightly more veteran players at this point of their careers with San Diego. But you add a horse like this and move some of those other guys into spots they might be more comfortable with, coupled with the offense and the defense this club has, the strong bullpen with Trevor Hoffman leading the way. Folks in San Diego ought to be very excited about their ball club this year.
Well, what happens is he takes a lot of pressure off of the other starting pitchers. But their weakness is their middle relief. They have good starting pitching. They have a closer. But their middle relief, like a lot of teams, they have a little, they leave a little to be desired.
They have only one left-hander in the bullpen, and some think Sterling Hitchcock ought to be a starter. Brown really jams Aurelia. That ball didn't hang up long enough for anybody else to catch it, so Brown took it. And Danny Darwin will bat with one out and the bases empty here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Well, Kevin Brown is up there with the best names in the game with that ERA. Kevin Brown's earned run average 2 years ago, 1.89 when he won 17 games for the Marlins. A 21-game winner he was in '92 with the Rangers when he led the American League.
22 wins are more impressive to me than the earned run average. Earned run average is like a batting average. It's a personal thing. A pitcher should be graded on wins and losses, as a hitter should be graded on his run production. How many runs he scores, how many he drives in, things like that. If you're just going to look at a batting average or an earned run average, I think you're not looking at the total picture.
1 ball and 2 strikes on a breaking ball fouled back. Danny Darwin struck out first time up, trying to bunt. Kevin Brown also has that demeanor, that mean streak you're looking for in a dominant pitcher. And he blows the high fastball by his opposing pitcher. Strikeout number 6 for Kevin Brown. Chris Berman will host the show on Saturday. Mike Tirico Sunday for the 1998 NFL Draft. Tom Jackson, Joe Theismann, Sterling Sharp, Ron Jaworski, Mel Kiper Jr. They're all there. Chris Fowler has top of the hour updates. ESPN Radio will be involved. Also Sports Zone at ESPN.com. We are all over the 1998 NFL Draft with our panel of experts, and a big panel it is.
What do you think's going first?
I don't know. A lot of great athletes. It's going to be interesting to see the character issue come into play in the draft this year as well. Aurelia, a hard line drive caught off the bat of Hamilton. Check it was Gomez, and the Giants are gone in the 6th.
Gary Miller with an update from Cleveland earlier this evening. Randy Johnson and Kenny Lofton, who have a history. Lofton called him a headhunter before the game. That was what Johnson said was a slider. Lofton couldn't believe it. Very next pitch, after the bench is cleared and Luke Piniella was restored, knocked him down. Johnson ejected. Lofton ejected. The Mariners bullpen actually came through. They beat Cleveland in a 7-game losing streak.
Thank you, Gary Miller. And here we go to the top of the 7th at 3Com Park in San Francisco. I did notice, Joe, that Kenny Lofton was not too eager to charge the mound after that high, tight fastball.
Well, actually, I'm trying to understand why was Johnson ejected, because they didn't warn him before he threw the second pitch in tight, did they? It didn't appear that they warned him. I mean, it just looked like maybe, I mean, the fastball got away. That's what he would say anyway.
And what Lou Piniella's hoping now may be the emotions of what happened tonight in Cleveland, coupled with the fact the bullpen did the job and they came from behind to win a game. Maybe that'll jumpstart a 4-10 Seattle ball club that's really been struggling. That game, by the way, breaks a 7-game losing streak for them.
Well, I guess it's easy because Johnson wasn't throwing at me, or it wasn't close to me.
Carlos Hernandez for the Padres, top 7, 0-1 pitch. He hits it hard, but hooks it way foul.
That's interesting. Anyway, if they said that Kenny Lofton called Randy a headhunter before the game, I did the opening day game in Seattle, and it didn't seem to be any hard feelings amongst the two of them. Nothing like that was said.
Cleveland still 10-3 with that loss. Here's the big question in the AL Central. Who's going to challenge them? Minnesota's sort of in a rebuilding mode, as is Kansas City. Detroit's got a lot of young talent. White Sox starting off 4-7 before their 7-6 win at Baltimore. Little looper right center. It'll drop in for Hernandez. Base hit number 6 for the Padres.
I actually believe the White Sox are going to be a pretty good team before the season's over, because when you have Frank Thomas, Albert Bell, Robin Ventura, when you have those types of players on your ball club, and they're going to add another right-handed bat with Will Cordero, I mean, I think you got a pretty good lineup. So I think it's just going to take them a while to get accustomed to each other, and I think they're going to have a pretty good ball club.
Always an adjustment period with a new manager as well, with Jerry Manuel coming over. Solid baseball man, well respected. Out to short. Aurelian to Kent, no chance to make a pivot as Carlos Hernandez, on a relatively slow roller, was able to get really close to the second baseman by the time he received the ball. So the 6-4 force play, 1 out.
Well, the ball's hit toward the hole. Aurelian gets it to Kent pretty quickly. Actually, I think Kent may have gotten his footwork a little crossed up there, because he looked like he wanted to come across the bag, and then he didn't come all the way across.
Jeff Kent, big guy handling himself around that bag. He's listed at 6'1", 190. Looks bigger than that whenever I see him. Played some third base when he was with the Mets.
He's actually done a good job at second base for the Giants. It has not been a problem from him moving, to be an everyday second baseman.
Well, if the big guy can play shortstop in Baltimore all those years, why not a big guy at second base here in San Francisco? Cal Ripken, not exactly your prototype, and I think he did okay. Ball bunted hard. It's going to be a base hit. Snow came charging in, and Kevin Brown blew the bunt right by him. Danny Darwin was not able to react in time, and Brown has his second hit of the night, and the Padres have first and second, 1 out with the top of the order coming up.
Well, JT really overcharges the ball. You see, he was running straight in. He thought he was going to be bunted to him. There's nothing Darwin can do, because he has to cover the middle of the diamond. It was just JT just overran it. He was trying to get in too tight and could not maneuver.
Well, Dusty knows how tough it would be to come from behind in this game if it's 2-0 or 3-0. So those are valuable runners out there with 1 out. Kilvio Veras has a 2-hit night. Little scratch hit down the third baseline last time up. Bullpen ball on the field out in right field, thus the momentary break. And the Giants, with 2 left-handers down there, get Rich Rodriguez going. Jim Poole, the American League longtime veteran, is their other. Of course, Rob Nen, their closer. At second base is Chris Gomez. Reached on the fielder's choice. Then Brown, the hard bunt single. And you've got blazing speed in the batter's box here, too. They're going to play behind Kevin Brown at first base. And a fly ball right center. Over goes Bernard. Runner tags at second, Gomez. Bernard guns it, hits the cutoff man, and getting back into second base is Gomez. Marvin Bernard really released that ball quickly. 2 down.
Well, the important thing is he hits the cutoff man. You see, he gets behind the ball so that his momentum is going forward. Now he hits the cutoff man. A lot of times you see him overthrow the cutoff man. Now they try to go back to the bag to get Hernandez, but they can't do it. But a good play there in the outfield by Bernard. Always hit the cutoff man.
Brent Maine wants to talk to Danny Darwin about how they're going to work Steve Finley here. This is a dangerous situation for a right-handed pitcher. Finley, as mentioned earlier, has really improved his power numbers the last several years, driving runs in. But if you get too cute and walk him, then you're dealing with the best line drive hitter anywhere in Tony Gwynn.
Well, I thought they were stalling a little bit for Dusty Baker.
Well, now they are.
I don't think he wants to put Danny Darwin in the situation where he has to get Finley out, because as you mentioned already, down 1-0 to Kevin Brown, it's very difficult to come back from 2 down with Kevin throwing the way he is so far tonight.
2 on, 2 out. Top of the 7th. Brian Gorman, the home plate umpire, coming out to hurry things along. Dusty got the stall he wanted. Rodriguez is ready, and he goes to the left-hander with Finley and Gwynn coming up. Ball game could be on the line right here. One big reason, left-handed batters coming up. Another big reason, Steve Finley's 1 for 17 career against him. Rodriguez has not really worked that much this year, only his 4th appearance. But for the first 2 weeks of the season, the Giants bullpen has been ranked either 1 or number 2 in the National League in earned run average, fewest runs given up. So they've done the job so far of getting the ball to Rob Nen.
Well, Dusty feels that his strength is his bullpen.
One-0 pitch. And has that breaking ball just slicing right across the plate. As mentioned, 1 for 17 against a left-hander who holds opponents batting for the left side to a very low number. 1 ball, 1 strike. Had him locked up on the breaking ball. Interesting that Rob Nen only has 2 saves, but he also has 2 wins. That means in some low-scoring games, the bullpen's kept it close. Nen's come in, pitched a scoreless inning or so. Giants have had a bunch of come-from-behind wins already. And Rob Nen, 4 decisions when you count the saves. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Finley hangs tough, bounces it up the middle. Ball skipping near the bag, and Aurelia manages to take care of it. Padres strand a couple. They've left 7. Middle of the 7th, Rodriguez does his job. It'll be Bill Miller, Barry Bonds, and J.T. Snow in a very key Giants 7th. Oh, isn't that the kind of thing? That's the kind of thing that appeals to folks up there. 40,000 today. It was a madhouse at Shea. Just one of those crazy days that you would never, ever dream would happen again. And they made the most of it. Well, the Giants trying to do the same against Kevin Brown. Through 6 innings of work, Kevin Brown has faced 19 batters, just 1 over the minimum. Bill Miller, Barry Bonds, J.T. Snow. Miller a high bouncer. That gives Wally Joyner the chance to come forward and grab it. 1 out. Well, Barry Bonds starting the season slowly. His bat's starting to wake up. More Joe Morgan with Barry Bonds.
What would be your scouting report on Barry Bonds?
Just don't get him upset. If I'm in a slump, just keep me alone. Yeah, leave me alone. If I ever get upset, I think the Dodgers woke me up that series. Yeah. Osuna upset me, and I wasn't swinging the bat that good, and I wasn't having a good series coming into them, and they woke me up.
And in that big series they had down the stretch, Barry had home runs the first 2 ball games to lead the Giants to victory and to overtake the Dodgers and win the division.
Well, he's got home runs in 2 straight games coming into this one. A base hit last time off Kevin Brown, the only hit of the night for the Giants. Fastball is in tight. 2 balls, 1 strike.
The question is, when you're Kevin Brown, you get to this point of the ball game, what do you do? Do you let Barry Bonds tie the game, or do you try to get him to chase something out of the zone, as it looks like he's trying to do?
3 balls, 1 strike.
You can get a guy out all evening, but you know what he's capable of doing, and when you get down the stretch, you say, well, I'm not going to let it happen to him, with him up there.
Look at him go the other way, hitting the ball well. Bonds 2 for 3. He's been the Giants' offense so far. J.T. Snow is next. Barring the double play, Jeff Kent will bat in this inning.
Well, that's basically what Barry said he was going to do, go the other way against Kevin. And Kevin's happy to have him do that with a 3-1 pitch. Kevin throws a sinker away, and he knows that Barry can't hit this ball out of the ballpark, and that's all he cares about. Barry, good hitting, going the other way with that sinker, and that was a pretty good pitch there from Kevin Brown. If he would have been trying to pull that ball 3-1, which you normally do, he would have hit it off the end of the bat, probably hit a little ground ball someplace. So good hitting there by Barry Bonds, and a good pitch from Kevin Brown.
Brown has handled J.T. Snow pretty easily. Fly ball to left. A weak swinging strikeout last time up, and J.T. fouls it off to the left. Well, he was 7 for 19 coming in. He's had good success. Marvin Bernard, the other guy in the lineup that's had good success. 4 for 12 coming in, but he's 0 for 2. Brent Maine was 6 for 16. He's 0 for 2. Bouncing ball. They'd have to hurry. Veras, Gomez, and they turn the 4-6-3. Kevin Brown was one of the top 3 in the league with 26 double play balls last year. He's out of the 7th. Tony Gwynn will lead off in a 1-0 game. Two of the great players in baseball opposing each other tonight. Tony Gwynn, Mr. Bonds, more on hitting.
I got to watch him hit every day. Maybe I wouldn't have any holes in my swing.
What happens is large.
Oh, it's large.
You wouldn't let him, you know, because you know how Barry is stubborn. And when he goes up to the plate, he already has in his mind what he feels like he should be doing. You know, he's an MVP guy. He wants to show people that he's one of the best in the game, and he's not going to be satisfied hitting singles.
Right.
You know,
well, that's true.
He's got to do his damage. Where for me, I realize what type of player I am. So
Ain't nothing wrong with a single.
and exactly, you know, Barry hates that. You know, if I could carve a ball 1 hop in front of him today, I'd be so happy.
I'd be mad
because he snatches.
Well, Tony's gone that way one time, but he didn't carve a 1-hopper. He hit a little fly ball.
Had a good time talking to the two of them because they obviously have a mutual respect for each other's talents, even though they are different. And Tony Gwynn described Barry just right. He knows that what he's supposed to do. He wants to drive the ball. And Tony says, my job is to hit line drives. That's what I do best. And it's interesting that last year Tony Gwynn had his best year, driving in over 100 runs, hitting for power, and still hitting 350 and above.
Left field again, but it hangs up.
Well, it's interesting. I'm watching Tony Gwynn. He is definitely trying to go that way. But what they're doing is they're pitching him inside. And especially this last pitch is down and in. And watch, you see him trying to inside out this ball. You see him trying to go to left field. And that pitch normally is one that the left-hander likes to pull, a pitch that's down and in because it's easier for them to pull the ball. But Tony's looking for the long haul. He's trying to get his mechanics straight, he says. And that means hitting the ball to left field. And he hasn't been doing a good job of that so far this season, even though he's hitting 333 coming in. But he's worried about his mechanics because he said that's what keeps him solid throughout the season.
Caminiti hits it hard through the hole. His first right-handed at bat tonight. He's now 8 for 22 right-handed this year. Caminiti, one of those guys, it doesn't make any difference which side of the plate. He has 3 homers from each side this year. Double the RBIs from the right side actually right now.
Well, at one time he was really a much better hitter from the right side than he was the left side. But he's worked very hard to become a good hitter from both sides.
1 on, 1 out. Wally Joyner. Couple of fly balls and a grounder tonight. J.T. Snow will play behind Caminiti, trying to cut off some of that hitting room should Wally pull the ball. Top of the 8th inning. 1-0 San Diego on the Greg Vaughn home run, leading off the second. Caminiti can cruise into second base, and the ball that gets away from Brent Maine. Rolled a wild pitch, runner in scoring position, 1 out. Padres have stranded 7 men already. Had a wild ball game here last night. Well hit ball, but right at Bonds. Now that's the kind of ball I thought Tony Gwynn was going to hit at Barry. His was a fly ball. That one was hit right on the sweet spot for the second out. Padres came in here last night, tried to send the Giants a little message with 5 in the top of the first. And Bonds and company said, hey, we're going to score 2. They got 4.
Well, I was trying to see what Barry was saying. He walked halfway in, and he's pointing to something.
Looks like Dusty Baker has the right-hander, Steve Reed, in mind for Greg Vaughn. So Rodriguez comes in and retires 3 of the 4 he faced, with Caminiti getting the base hit. He did retire all the lefties, Steve Reed and Greg Vaughn, who's homered tonight. The matchup in a minute. Last season, no hits in 8 innings so far. He's part of that good setup job that we talked about the Giants have done. Vaughn 1 for 3 with the leadoff homer off Danny Darwin back in the second. Last night he had a 2-homer game. Bruce Bochy'd love to see a 2 RBI game with a base hit right here. Kevin Brown looking insurmountable. 2-0 would really seem like a big spread. That'll even the count. 1 ball, 1 strike. Reed really a workhorse for Don Baylor the last 4 years. 61, 71, 70, and 63 appearances. Left field. Bonds waits for it, and he's got it. He caught all 3 in this inning. Caminiti stranded. 8 left by the Padres. Jeff Kent leads off for the Giants in the bottom of the 8th. Tonight, 2 of the 3 base runners have been erased. 1 caught stealing, 1 on the double play that ended the 7th. Here's our Sherwin-Williams pitching summary, brought to you by Sherwin-Williams Paint and Wallpaper Stores. Danny Darwin didn't throw badly tonight either.
No, he threw well, and I wouldn't even call it a mistake. The ball that Greg Vaughn hit for the home run, it was a 3-0 count, and he was trying to throw a strike, and Bruce Bochy let Vaughn swing on a 3-0 pitch leading off the inning, which is something you rarely see happen. And there you see Mouton, James Mouton, in left field.
That increases their outfield speed in the late innings. Jeff Kent. Here we are in the bottom of the 8th inning, and the number 5 man in your batting order is only walking up there for the 3rd time today. That's how few at-bats you can get when Kevin Brown is opposing your team. Kent, a strikeout and a grounder. Low and away, ball 1.
The impressive thing for Brown, that was his 80th pitch of the ball game.
Interesting late inning scenario here, Joe, between a Giants team that likes to come from behind and win. They did it 51 times last year, 6 already this year. And a high fly ball to left. Mouton will get a touch right away. Broke back, comes in, 1 out. Gary Miller, what's happening now?
Bob, the Red Sox got back home and they just can't lose. They allowed the A's to tie him in the 8th, in the bottom of the 9th. Troy O'Leary with his 3rd hit of the night. He also homered in this game. That'll bring home John Valentin. They're 6-0 at home, all consecutive. Red Sox win at 4-3. Garcia Parra shut out in the first game. He's hitting 13 straight since. Right after baseball between the Padres and Giants, Sports Center comes your way. Those are some of the stories you'll see.
Well, Joe Morgan, last week in Anaheim, you and I talked about how important Mo Vaughn was to the Red Sox. I guess they found out on Friday and then through the weekend when they finally went home how important he really is to that ball club. Now he's got the other guys hitting around him too.
Yes, well, he is the catalyst of that ball club. He is the man, as they say.
He the man. 1 ball, 1 strike to Brent Maine. Kevin Brown is the man right now for San Diego. He might be able to keep Barry Bonds from batting again in this game. That's a breaking ball that drops in. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and Brent Maine walks out of there thinking, and I thought that was a little bit up. Should have been ball 2. Ryan Gorman, home plate umpire tonight. We hardly know he's been there. Kevin Brown's been so good, and so was Danny Darwin. 1-2 pitch. Well, you see a lot of check swings against this guy, don't you?
Well, a lot of movement on all of his pitches, and that's why you have a check swing. It looks like it's in the strike zone, and then it moves out of the zone.
2-2. We mentioned the Giants come from behind wins. Well, the other side of that coin is Kevin Brown. Last year, he allowed Dusty Baker's hitters and other managers all around the National League a batting average of 136 in the late innings. That was the lowest figure for any starter in Major League Baseball. Now that's getting it done down the stretch. Two balls, two strikes. And Joe, I know you like those W's. You hold them to 136, you'll get your W's.
Yeah, he pitched a great game against Atlanta, you know, to give the Marlins their first World Series appearance.
Swing and a miss on a pitch down in the dirt. Plenty of time for Carlos Hernandez. That's the second out. Kevin Brown with his 7th strikeout of the night.
Well, with 2 strikes, it's just difficult with a guy like Kevin Brown because, as Barry said earlier, you have to make up your mind pretty quickly. And with 2 strikes, you have to make it up even quicker. And those pitches were out of the strike zone, but there's not a lot you can do about it. You will chase some because they look like they're going to be about knee high. There you see what he's done the last 2 seasons and what the Padres' entire staff has done.
Well, they say hitting's contagious. And Kevin Brown's leadership on the pitching side could be the same scenario this year.
And they also have a new pitching coach, Dave Stewart, who has tried to impress upon his starters that they're supposed to go out there and win the ball game. And he wants them to go as long as they possibly can, and he's trying to get them in that mindset.
Ball hammered up the middle by Marvin Bernard. He's gone up the middle 3 times tonight. Kevin Brown took care of the first 2. One was a bunt. That was hit solidly. Marvin Bernard with his 5th career hit against Kevin Brown in 15 at-bats. It'll keep the inning alive for Rich Aurilia.
This is a fastball that gets up about belt high, and it's a straight fastball, so he's able to hit that and line it back through the middle. Pitch was supposed to be away, but even Kevin Brown misses his spots every once in a while.
First San Francisco hit tonight for a guy not named Bonds. Aurilia with a walk and a little pop-up back to the mound. Pitcher spot due up next. They're warming up. John Johnstone, Stan Javier, the switch hitter, waiting to bat. Will the inning go that far? Kent flied out. Maine struck out before the Bernard base hit. Carlos Alfonso, the coach over there with Bernard. Good speed. John Johnstone set to pitch the 9th if they hit. For Reed. 2-0. Kevin Brown's 6th start against the Giants in his career. Now Rob Nen is up.
You see a different Kevin Brown, at least I do, than I saw in the World Series last year. When he gets in trouble in the past, he's always rushed and kept going, and he gets ahead of himself. He's taking his time now to be more calculating in deciding what pitch he wants to throw and where he wants to throw it.
2 balls, no strikes. Got him on a fly ball. It's deep left field. This ball's got some carry to it, but Mouton is there. Maybe 4 or 5 feet short of a home run that would have put him on top. Giants are gone. They strand only their 2nd runner of the night as Aurilia made a bid for his 1st of the year. He thought he might have one, but he came up short. Kevin Brown wiggles out of a jam. Now we go to the top of the 9th inning, and Steve Reed will stay in. Bottom 3 due up in the Padres batting order. Hernandez, Gomez, then Kevin Brown scheduled to bat. There is no activity in the San Diego bullpen. Kevin Brown, a guy who makes a habit of going all the way. He's had a profound influence on this ball club already this year. They've already equaled their 2 shutouts of all of last year. Andy Ashby had a dandy 1-0 win on Monday. Carlos Hernandez 1 for 3. Then Gomez, then Brown. Off the end of the bat, fouled back. Maine giving chase. And his manager was right up on the top step, telling him no chance. What a good player Dusty was.
And what a good manager Dusty is. He has taken this Giants ball club, especially last year. I mean, he has gotten the most out of the talent that they have here. I mean, they know how to win. They know how to do things. They know how to work the counts. They've been very successful over the years of last couple of years of being able to handle pitchers late in the ball game. They're having difficulty tonight with Kevin Brown, but
who doesn't? Bonds cruising under it. When Dusty's Giants won the division last year, that was the Giants' first divisional title in 8 years. Dusty, as you saw in the graphic, manager of the year for the 2nd time. 2-time All-Star in his 16 years with Atlanta, the Dodgers, the Giants, and the A's.
That surprises me. I thought he would have made more than 2 All-Star games. He had some excellent years in Atlanta.
Well, you know what?
Also in L.A.
You know what that means? There were some pretty good outfielders playing back then.
Well, you're right.
Tough to make that team. That was a great era for outfielders in the National League. Chris Gomez 0 for 3.
And Dusty will tell you that he learned so much from playing with Hank Aaron about hitting and approaching the game properly. And he says Barry Bonds actually approaches hitting as well as anybody he's ever seen since Hank Aaron. And that's quite a compliment.
Will Barry Bonds bat in this game? The Giants will need a base runner without a double play in the 9th inning to get Bonds up one more time. 1-2 fastball misses away.
And it's interesting, Bonds is a guy that says he wants to make the Hall of Fame. He wants to set certain goals for himself and attain those goals. I talked to Ken Griffey Jr. He doesn't have those types of goals. Junior says he wants to play every day and just enjoy playing, and whatever numbers he ends up with, that's great.
Interesting, both sons of outstanding major league players looking at things a little differently.
And it's interesting because I said to both of them, I've talked to both of them, I asked Barry today, I said, you know, you and Griffey Jr. are better than your fathers were, and your fathers were excellent players.
Oh, look at Brown lay the bunt down. Reed pouncing, his foot slipped, and Kevin Brown bunting twice is 3 for 4 tonight.
Well, I hope he didn't hurt himself, because sometimes when you're about to throw and your feet slip from under, you can injure yourself, but he seems to be okay. Good bunt there by Brown. Too slow for Miller to get there. And you can see that Reed, watch him, throws off Brown. Brown is trying to do anything that he can to get himself an insurance run, and I don't blame him. It's very difficult to beat a team 1-0. He's throwing well tonight, but you do not see a lot of 1-0 scores during the baseball season.
Top of the order, Kilby O'Veris. Fastball tailing away. Kevin Brown does not need a jacket to run the bases. He's not going to let anybody know that he's not warm enough with his shirt sleeves. He's just fine out there.
Well, maybe that's what they call in the zone. He's in a different zone tonight.
He may not even know he doesn't have a jacket on.
Right, he's in a different zone someplace tonight.
No balls, 2 strikes. Kevin Brown, a .333 hitter now after his 3 for 4 tonight. 0-2, a little close there. Giants fans thinking Brian Gorman is squeezing their guy. Pretty good 0-2 pitch there.
Yeah, but that's a low pitch even in the National League.
Even here, huh?
Yes, even in the National League, and this is the low ball league.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, according to latest reports, this is also the wide ball league. Anything off the plate's a strike here. In the American League, it's going to be up and down. Here, it's in and out.
Well, it's interesting in the one of the magazines today talking about rating the umpires.
Some pretty personal stuff in there.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that.
Well hit, knocked down by Snow. Here we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Padres strand 9. Kevin Brown trying to pitch through 9. He's been brilliant. Padres by 1. 1997, Kevin Brown walking none, striking out 7. Only 1 base runner. Marvin Bernard hit with a pitch and a no-hitter on this diamond against the Giants last year. Well, tonight not a no-no, but he's got a 3-hitter going. There's what he did in that ball game. And tonight he's gone through 8, 7 strikeouts, has walked 1. That man caught stealing. Just about as untouchable tonight, Joe.
Well, he has been in complete control of this ball game, and when you get Barry Bonds, one of the power hitters on this ball club, trying to flip you to left field, that tells you that you are in complete control.
Stan Javier will lead off the bottom of the 9th. Then Darrell Hamilton, then Bill Miller. Interesting that when the Padres picked up Kevin Brown, his complete game total of 11 for the last 2 seasons with the Marlins was 1 more than the entire Padres pitching staff for that same period. He eats up innings and he wins ball games.
But as Yogi said, it's not over till it's over. As I said, it's very difficult to beat someone 1-0, but
Stan Javier 0 for 1 as a pinch hitter this year. A .250 batter overall with 11 RBIs. Caminiti in on the grass at third. You've got to respect Stan Javier's speed. Even in his 12th major league season, he can still move it pretty well. Not much success against Brown. He lines one to the gap in left center. This ball is going to the wall. The tying runs at second base.
this is the one thing that Dusty Baker has been able to do the last couple of years, get a lot from his bench. And tonight on the bench he has Stan Javier, who starts a lot of ball games. Fastball out the middle of the plate and up a little bit, and he finds a gap in left center field. By the time Mouton can get it back in, he's at second base with a leadoff double.
Now Barry Bonds will bat in this game, barring some sort of line drive double play. Darrell Hamilton, the batter, looking to bunt. He hits the plate with it, and that'll easily move the runner over. You hit the plate, it's going to have hang time. 1 out.
But it's not easy to hit a sacrifice fly off of Kevin Brown. If he keeps the ball down, which he will be trying to do, unless he gets 2 strikes on Miller and tries to go up and strike him out, he will be trying to make sure that he keeps that ball on the ground.
Trevor Hoffman up and working as soon as that ball went to the gap in left center.
The question is, how tight do you play? I don't think I would play this infield all the way in, because they're not going to take a chance on trying to score him with Barry Bonds on deck. And the reason I say that, the closer in you play the infield, the more chance a ground ball has of sneaking through.
Bill Miller, contact hitter.
They will not have that runner thrown out at the plate
Miller, 7 strikeouts in 49 at-bats this year. He's 0 for 7 career in his 2 years hitting against Kevin Brown. One ball, 1 strike. Fastball way upstairs.
I think that was more of a check-me pitch for Kevin Brown. Maybe if he gets it high enough, Miller might swing at it. Or he was trying to see if they would try a squeeze in that situation.
That will even the count, 2-2.
I think if you're the Giants, you have to play this straight up and hope that Miller can get the ball into the outfield. Otherwise, you have to leave Javier at third and leave it up to Barry Bonds. Again, I don't think you can get that runner at third thrown out at the plate in this situation.
He almost went. The appeal to third, Tom Hallion says no. That will fill the count, 3-2.
This was an interesting pitch. This is the first time it appeared to me that he threw a big breaking slider. See, that's a big breaking slider right there.
Ground ball right side. Runner stays, and running to the bag is Veras. Wally Joyner had committed himself, and the only thing Veras could do was pick up the ball, look at the runner, and run to the bag himself. That's a second baseman unassisted at the first base bag. 2 down.
Well, a lot of people may wonder why they didn't try to score, but you can't let him try to score with Barry Bonds on deck. I mean, you have to. That's why Barry Bonds gets the big bucks. You want him to be the hitter in this situation. And you see Dave Stewart coming out to say, you know, to Kevin Brown, hey, you know, what do we want to do here? Do you want to go right after him? You see that scowl Dave Stewart still has it. He's still a gamer. He's trying to decide whether he wants to go straight after him or whether he wants to try to get him to chase something after the thing. His last thoughts right there says, let's go after him. That's what Dave Stewart said, so we'll see what happens here. But that was Dave Stewart's last thought there, is let's go after him.
The only time Barry Bonds has pulled the ball tonight, he was retired. The time he went up the middle, he got a base hit. The time he went to left field, he got a base hit. So 2 of his 3 career hits against Kevin Brown in this game. Fastball up.
Yeah, but I think he's going right after him. I don't think he's going to nibble around or do anything. He says either he's going to get Barry or Barry's going to get him. Good sinker.
He went up, he went down. It's 2-0. Giants trying to win and creep to within.
Well, Bruce Bochy says, I don't want you to go after him.
That's it, huh?
And Bruce Bochy has the final decision to make in this situation. Kind of interesting because if you walk Barry as they've done, how do you keep him from stealing second base?
Now, Joe, here's where the lineup we talked about earlier tonight really comes into play. Normally, this would be Kevin Brown against the right-hander Jeff Kent. But against Brown tonight, Dusty Baker flip-flopped his 4 or 5 hitters. Now you've got Lefty, the switch hitter, in snow against Brown here with the game on the line. And there's the reason why.
2 things to think about here if you're Barry. Do you run and give away that hole? If you run, you make it more difficult for JT to hit the hole on the right side. But you also put a lot more pressure on the pitcher if you can get to second base.
Tying run at third, winning run at first, breaking ball, missed inside. 1 ball, no strikes.
It's interesting, this inning he's thrown a couple of big breaking sliders, whereas he was not doing that earlier in the ball game.
One-0 pitch. That one is high in the zone. 1 ball, 1 strike.
As I said, it's not easy to beat someone 1-0. And it has been a struggle here this inning for Kevin Brown.
He gave Barry Bonds his quick move that time. bottom of the 9th inning. 1-0 San Diego. First and third, 2 down. 1-1, and it's up and away, ball 2. Interesting scenario here. You really don't want to walk the winning run to second base.
Right.
But you don't want to give in to JT Snow with a right-hander on deck. 2-1 pitch. Breaking ball. He's got it in there. Strike 2.
Now, I think this is a situation where Barry might run because there are 2 strikes on JT. And he may just take off here.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Swing and a miss on a high fastball. And Kevin Brown shuts out the Giants 1-0. 3 shutouts already this year for the San Diego staff.
Well, you have to tip your hat to Kevin Brown and just say he was better than we were tonight, and that's the truth. I mean, he pitched a great ball game. He was in complete control, even though he had some problems during the 9th inning. He makes some quality pitches to JT Snow. He got behind him, and every time he got behind him, he came with a breaking ball to get back even with the count. And here is the final pitch of the ball game, and he just turns a fastball loose after throwing 2 breaking balls for strikes and got JT to be a little tardy on it. So good pitching there from Kevin Brown. Good hitting from Greg Vaughn to give him the only run he needed.
Kevin Brown's 55th career complete game, his 13th shutout, and he takes care of the Giants 1-0. And the Padres now are 12-3, their best start ever. The final score, San Diego 1 and San Francisco 0.